From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
It's Indy 500 Eve, and race day will be like no other. Good evening. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Nicole Griffin has the night off. Sunday will be missing the traffic jams and that mass of humanity that enters the Speedway at 16th and Georgetown. WRTV's Troy Washington reports on those seeking a taste of the annual tradition in this new normal.
The Hoax family is visiting from New Jersey.
We just figured we'd visit all the sites here in Indianapolis, so we went to the Colts Stadium, and we also came here to Indianapolis, not knowing that the race was this weekend. So it was a bonus for us.
Now it's a memory their family won't forget, not even the youngest member of the family.
I'm going to try to make a memoir for him and kind of like set everything up so that he's able to look back on it when he gets older.
Trust me, he's going to remember, because 2 weeks later, he'll talk about something and you'll be like, oh wow, he still remember this? But even though he's not paying attention, trust me, he's missing.
Even though fans won't be watching from the inside, they are still getting in on the sights and sounds of Indy 500 race day.
Right west of me, the gravel lot is going to be full of lawn chairs tomorrow and watching the big screen, and everybody's going to do everything they can to enjoy it.
Steve Joyce is making sure fans are geared up, but he says in all the decades he's set up shop, this year is different.
Yes, we have a lot of fans coming out and they're spending a little bit of money, but it's not the same. It's just, you know, we'd much rather have the fans in there coming out here happy to spend money and enjoy life, but it is what it is and we got to be safe.
He's got social distancing dots set up to keep customers safe. And he says this is one for the books.
Actually trying to find a ticket, and my guts wear a mask, and I want to put it in a picture frame and hang it on my racing memorabilia wall so we won't forget the year 2020.
Working for you in Speedway, Troy Washington, WRTV.
WRTV will bring you the sights and sounds of the Indy 500 with driver interviews and much more highlights beginning at 9 a.m. on the WRTV Facebook page. New at 11. A controversy over a photograph taken at Daleville Senior High School. The picture circulating on social media shows students forming what looks like a swastika on the floor of the high school. The Daleville School District in Delaware County is aware of that picture, and an investigation is now underway. In a statement, Superintendent Paul Garrison tells WRTV, in part, Daleville Community Schools will not tolerate acts of racism, bias, unlawful harassment, or discrimination of any kind. And we are profoundly disappointed and shocked by the apparent actions of the students as depicted in the images we have seen posted on social media. WRTV also reached out to the Indiana High School Athletic Association. A spokesperson tells us that they're aware of the reported incident and that Daleville officials are taking the lead in this investigation. Now at 11, time to check on your forecast. And Kyle, we are hoping for a dry race day.
Yeah, Rafael, the stage is set here, and I think for much of tomorrow it is going to be dry and looking pretty good there for race day. Right now it is 75 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and we've got a little bit of a north breeze there under 10 miles per hour. As we look at temperatures around central Indiana, you can see a pocket of 70s here stretching from around Richmond into Bloomington, and those are areas that did have some rain earlier this evening, but you can see that has all fizzled out here. Really just brought some pockets of heavier rainfall and some lightning. Tomorrow morning we're not going to have any of that. A nice quiet start to the day here. Could have a little bit of patchy fog, just kind of keep that in mind. Temperatures that'll be in the middle to upper 60s, and they will warm quickly here as we will have some sunshine at 10 a.m. We've got a temperature of 75. So the Indy 500 forecast, it gets the green light. We'll detail that small rain chance coming up here in just a minute. The week ahead, though, that summer heat is going to return. We're talking about highs back in the 90s, and we're also keeping an eye on the tropics. We'll talk about a couple of systems which could bring us some rain next week.
More news now at 11. Despite multiple efforts, attempts to save a 21-year-old man from a retention pond just were made impossible. This all began this morning at the intersection of East 56th Street and Allisonville Road. A driver told police he was at the stoplight when a red car rear-ended him, bumped into his vehicle several times, and then sped away. He veered off the road and drove down an embankment into that pond. A bystander ran to help him, but he says the driver refused to get out of the vehicle. Emergency crews also tried to convince him to get out of the car, but no success. By the time first responders were able to get him out, the driver was unconscious. He died a short time later at the hospital. His name has not been released. The overall death toll at the hands of COVID-19 in Indiana has now passed 3,000 Hoosiers. Today, the health department reported 9 more COVID-19 deaths. More than 85,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 969,000 people have been tested in our state, with 8.8% testing positive. Purdue students and staff will be selected during the fall semester for random coronavirus testing. The university already requires all students to have a negative test before arriving on campus. Now, students who test positive must provide documentation proving they've completed a 10-day isolation and are cleared to be back on campus. Beginning on Monday, most of the Purdue's 40,000 students return to class. The university's goal is to test about 10% of the campus each week. The students and staff selected for random testing will be notified by email. As COVID-19 deaths rise in 25 states, drug companies are working on potential vaccines. This as President Trump is now making an accusation against the FDA while providing no evidence. The latest now from ABC's Zareen Shah.
More than 175,000 Americans have lost their lives to coronavirus. The CDC saying the death toll in the U.S. could reach 200,000 over the next 3 weeks. Drug companies are working on potential vaccines, with many already being tested in human trials. But President Trump lashing out Saturday morning on Twitter, offering no evidence, accusing the, quote, deep state or whoever over at the FDA of making it very difficult for drug companies to get people in order to test vaccines and therapeutics. Obviously, they're hoping to delay the answer until after November 3rd. We have reached out to the FDA but have not heard back. Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling his accusation dangerous.
Even for him, it went beyond the pale in terms of how he would jeopardize the health and well-being of the American people and accuse the FDA of politics.
The head of the CDC says it will take cooperation from entire communities to keep kids safe in school as the president pushes for schools to reopen everywhere. More than 200 students in Mississippi testing positive. Thousands more are in quarantine. One elementary school closing 1 week into in-person classes. Crowds at this high school football game in Alabama have the principal discussing changes for future games.
If there's an outbreak, there won't be high school football. I'm worried about my boys and my cheerleaders, my bands having a full season.
College campuses in at least 36 states seeing rises in cases. Notre Dame logging more than 330 cases. An op-ed in the student newspaper with the headline, "Don't make us write obituaries."
It's up to all of us to work together so we don't end up hurt.
After these images of crowded parties at Ohio State University, officials tell ABC News students who host or attend a party or any gathering with more than 10 people will face an interim suspension. At UNC Chapel Hill, classes are canceled this coming Monday and Tuesday, giving students time to move off campus and switch to remote learning. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
So they were offering some shopping and summer specials, shopping and dining deals, hoping to increase foot traffic on Mass Ave. The business corridor hosted a sidewalk sale today while the street remains closed until Labor Day to vehicle traffic. The shop owners have faced a tough spring and summer with COVID-19 limitations and protests.
People are always come in, they always wear their masks. I'm just glad to see people getting out and about again.
The Mass Avenue Merchants Association encourages all visitors throughout the week to socially distance and wear their masks. Surviving this speedway season, the challenge for many non-for-profits organizations now facing no fans at the race. That story coming up.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
In Hendricks County, it was all about showing support. The town of Brownsburg held a Back the Blue rally to express their appreciation for those who put their lives on the line every day. And people, as you can see, lined the streets waving flags and signs to honor the men and women of law enforcement. Organizers say police officers need to know that they're valued.
Every police is not bad, and we have to remember that, and so we have to be out to support these guys when they're good.
Well, we felt it was important to make an overt act just to show them that their community does in fact understand the difficulty of what they do.
Organizers also collected donations that they say will be given to officers during their end-of-year banquet. So no fans in the stands at the Indy 500 tomorrow. The ripple effect is taking a toll on non-for-profit organizations. WRTV's Nicole Griffin reports on the groups who depend on race weekend to raise money to benefit many causes like scholarships for children.
Typically in the days leading up to the Indy 500, the Speedway Lions Club would have about 40 members working right here in the Coke lot as race fans pull in to camp out for the weekend. But obviously with no fans at the race this year, their largest fundraiser is canceled. Born and raised in Speedway, Vincent Noblet looks forward to Indy 500 race weekend every year.
I'm sad. I miss it. I grew up here. I love the race.
Noblet is on the board of directors for the Speedway Lions Club. The Coke lot is where he joins dozens of others every year to greet fans. It's a fundraiser that typically brings in several $1,000s for the organization.
We have people, race fans from all over the country coming in. Starting on Thursday before the race.
The money the Lions Club raises during Indy 500 weekend helps award scholarships to Speedway high school seniors and allows them to serve the community at several events throughout the year.
Race weekend really makes or breaks the Lions Club for the year and funds.
I mean, we have race family across the world. We always joke that we're a town of 12,000 people, but we invite our closest 300,000 closest friends and family members for the month of May. And we are asking if you have been to Speedway, if you love Speedway, if you have a special place in your heart for our town, we would love a contribution to the effort here to relieve some of the stress on these nonprofits.
The Exchange Club of Speedway has set up a donation section on their website to help fill the gap this year. Money will then be distributed to nonprofits that are hurting right now throughout the town. Working for you in Speedway, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
Got a little toasty out there this afternoon. We topped out at 87 degrees. I think we'll see very similar temperatures tomorrow. And we're still sitting in the middle 70s downtown in Indianapolis, lower 70s around Lafayette and Bloomington, as we do have some partly cloudy skies out there. But the wind is fairly calm. And I think especially where we saw a little bit of that rain over southern and southeastern locations earlier today, that's where we could see a little bit of patchy fog going into the morning hours. A low of 65 in Indy and Columbus, 62 for you in the Peru area. And that forecast for our Sunday and race day here, again, it's looking pretty good as we get to 1 o'clock. 82 degrees, quite a bit of sunshine out there. A few more clouds as the afternoon rolls along here. 84 at 6 o'clock. There we'll have that spotty shower or thunderstorm chance. High temperatures tomorrow that again will be in the middle to even some upper 80s. 87 for you in Bloomington, 88 on the thermometer in Lafayette. And with that humidity, I do think it'll feel a few degrees warmer, closer to 90 degrees. So if you are going to be outside tomorrow afternoon, make sure you take some time in some shady spots and just cool down a little bit as the heat is only going to be building the next few days. Here's a look at TrueCast. 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we see not a lot of it, but a little bit of light green out there on radar. So we will be watching that closely for you. As we see any of those isolated showers, they should not last very long here, and any of them that do develop will be fading with sunset tomorrow evening. That rain chance only about 20% Sunday, and again on Monday. By the end of the week here, or the second half anyway, we'll get in about a 30% chance for some showers and storms, and that could have a tropical connection, which tonight we have Tropical Storm Laura that's moving over Hispaniola, and that's what's keeping it from really strengthening tonight with winds of 50 miles per hour. We also have another tropical storm, this one out over the open waters of the Gulf, not far from the Yucatan, and it's a little stronger at 65 miles per hour. Now, both of these systems look like they're going to be making landfall within a couple days of each other. One on Monday, another one on Wednesday, and could see that along the Gulf Coast, possibly in very similar locations. That then would move up into the Midwest and possibly bring us some rain toward the end of the week. But before we get to that, the heat is going to be built. That's sitting over the central portion of the country. 89 degrees for the high on Monday, and we're going to find those temperatures climbing into the 90s again Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been quite a while since we've had some 90-degree heat here, so that's something we're not really used to. It's not quite record record-setting, though. Those temperatures a little bit warmer than that. As we look at the extended forecast for you, put everything together, there is that warming trend. Again, just an isolated spotty thunderstorm on Sunday and Monday. That high of 89 degrees Monday. We'll have overnight lows right around 70 degrees. We get into the lower 90s on Tuesday. And that 7-day planning forecast shows that once we get into that daily chance for some showers and thunderstorms, it will be bringing the temperature down just a little bit. Our high 88 degrees on Thursday will be into the lower 80s heading into next weekend as some of that rain sticks around. Raphael?
Kyle, thank you so much. Still ahead on WRTV. On this night before the race, a son shares fond memories of his father and a legacy he leaves behind. Tomorrow, pole winner Marco Andretti takes the green flag as a member of a family with a rich history at the Speedway. His grandfather Mario, his father Michael, and his cousin John. John started in 12 Indy 500s. He had colon cancer and died in January. WRTV Sports Director Dave First talked to his son Jared about family, friends, and giving back.
It's not hard to find a memory or two of John Andretti, from his Stinger project on display at the airport to the Check It for Andretti colonoscopy stickers on Michael Andretti's cars, whether it's Alexander Rossi's or Reinhard Ray's, to Marco Andretti's helmet displaying Cousin John's old font logo. John's son Jarrett sees it all as well.
I would assume over the last couple of years, you and your dad would talk a lot about the 500 as it was approaching.
Yeah, we watched. I was there last year, and obviously we were a little bit disappointed when Alexander wasn't able to win. Obviously, he drove as hard as he could.
Yeah, they're due, obviously, too, this year. So, you know.
I think Dad's going to be helping him as much as he can.
Jarrett's career is just as fast-paced. You might see him on a dirt track one week or in a sports car the next.
What do you miss about your dad?
I mean, I honestly just miss talking to him.
John and Jarrett had big dreams, wanting to be teammates again in sports car racing, the way they did at the Rolex 24 in 2012. But time was becoming an issue.
There was times I was testing a sports car once in the winter of 2018 for a good buddy of ours named David Tilton. And he was trying to move his port while we were at the racetrack. And he was like, I think I can move it, and then I can get the belt on right here. And he goes, I don't think your mom would like that. I said, look, I'm not going to tell my mom. I'm not going to tell anybody if you get in that race car and drive it. He wanted to drive so bad, and that was the pinnacle for him, is just driving. And so we would have loved to have been teammates.
John's battle came to an end in January. The funeral in town was held on a cold, rainy day, one that didn't end until the procession happened to turn a lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was about memories for Jarrett.
I remember rolling into Speedway the first time with him. I was in like in 8th grade. Every other time he got in, he drove. But he was like, you know, this was a big deal, you know, and that to me really stuck out to me.
Slow and poignant, with the scoring pylon lit up, all arranged by Speedway president Doug Bowles.
It was funny because Doug asked me, I said, you know, would you like to get out and kiss the bricks? And this was probably 3 or 4 hours after Dad had actually passed, and I was on the phone, and I could hear Dad goes, no, only winners get to kiss the bricks. You know, I could hear him, and I said, nope. I said, nope, Doug. Dad would have not want, you know, he wouldn't want anybody to get out. And I think the place that meant the most to him was only fitting for him to take the final lap at. And the rain and all the other things that go along with it, you know, just made it, you know, that much more maybe somber.
It's a career that took him from sprint cars to kart.
And the Gold Coast Indycar Grand Prix goes to John Andretti.
From Cup to a cause. Here's the thing, you haven't heard the last of John Andretti.
Race for Riley rolls on, and your dad would have it no other way, right?
No.
Jarrett is carrying on John's work at Riley, his hospital visits, his karting event now approaching year 24, and of everything he's done, perhaps this is what means the most.
Just the amount of people that after Dad passed, the amount of Riley kids that reach out that reach out sometimes weekly to me. And hey, how are you doing? What's going on? You know, how can I pray for you? And it's like, how can I pray for you? Like, it's like one of those things that they're so caring.
Jarrett's goal is to help Race for Riley climb over the $5 million mark. There's little doubt that racing's loss has been real this year, but a lasting tribute to a true champion is even more so.
It's quite a legacy when you think about it, you know?
Yes, yes. And everybody's volunteered, and they're all dedicated to making this thing grow and continuing it for the years to come.
That was Sports Director Dave First reporting. John is also Marco Andretti's godfather. We'll be right back. The president is calling a House bill to fund the Postal Service a hoax by the Democrats. He wants the Senate, controlled by Republicans, not to advance that bill. And that's a major change from August the 13th, when the president said the Postal Service needed the money to handle the influx of mail-in ballots. ABC's Alex Prochet with the details.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling a rare Saturday session for a vote on legislation that would provide $25 billion for the U.S. Postal Service.
Our legislation is not just about the election. It's about, surprise, surprise, Mr. Postmaster General, the coronavirus, COVID-19, which has a big impact on the election as well as first and foremost on the health of the American people.
Postmaster General Louis DeJoy was grilled by a Senate committee over his agency's ability to handle mail-in ballots for this November's election.
I want to assure this committee and the American public that the Postal Service is fully capable and committed to delivering the nation's election mail securely and on time.
The Postal Service reporting a $2.2 billion loss in the 3 months that ended in June. DeJoy coming under fire for recent budget-cutting moves that have slowed mail delivery. A GOP donor and Trump ally, DeJoy has rejected accusations from some Democrats that he's sabotaging the upcoming election.
The insinuation is, quite frankly, outrageous.
President Trump once again pushing unfounded claims about mail-in voting, saying it would trigger the greatest catastrophe in American history.
You're not going to be able to know the end of this election, in my opinion, for weeks, months, maybe never.
But House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer said voting by mail will allow Americans to vote safely during the pandemic.
Voting mail is super first-class mail. It is our democracy. That is whether or not we're going to move in one direction or the other direction so that the voices of the people are heard.
The president also taking aim at his rival Joe Biden, who accepted his party's nomination earlier this week, saying he would bring chaos and disorder to the White House.
I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos.
The Republican National Convention kicks off on Monday. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
Here at home, work is now underway on repairs to a downtown landmark. The scaffolding went up around the iconic LSR's clock at the corner of Washington and Meridian Streets. This will allow 2 local craftsmen to reach the 8-foot-tall, 10,000-pound clock that needs additional repairs. There are leaks that need to be addressed and issues related to the bronze case that will be fixed. The plan is to have the clock repaired in time to welcome the return of the cherub on Thanksgiving Eve. The cherub, as you know, sits on the clock to watch over all holiday shoppers. And finally, it is not every day that 33 Indycar drivers make special deliveries that people will now never forget. The 33 drivers in tomorrow's race took to Main Street in Speedway. They went to the homes of some lucky race fans. The drivers with their masks, they pulled up in Camaros with Indy 500 themed gift bags. All the deliveries were done in a socially distanced manner. Now, Brenda Ham was stunned, and I would be stunned too, to see Marco and Mario Andretti in her front yard.
Oh my gosh, utter surprise and excitement. My all-time favorites. I love Mario, and it's Marco's year, and what could be better?
Brenda has been an Indy 500 fan for 30 years and owns 16 race tickets. She will enjoy tomorrow and can't wait to return, Kyle, to her seat in 2021.
And tomorrow's forecast, 87 that high. We'll be in the 90s next week, Raphael.
Good night. We'll see you tomorrow for our race day coverage beginning at 9 a.m. on RTV6.